sun beating down in fine style here at the Clay Pigeon Raceway. And what a beautiful day it is here on a gorgeous May Sunday morning. And with absolutely bone dry circuit, clear skies, not a single cloud in sight. And that means that it's going to be very tricky for the drivers through the day. The track temperature will probably be a good 4 to 5 degrees more than the air temperature. And it is a scorcher today. It's expected to be about 22, 23 degrees Celsius through the course of the day. So if you take the track temperature into account, you're looking at about 27, 28 degrees Celsius for the track temperature today. That means that your tyres are basically going to be a bit like cheese on toast at the moment. And I've just been presented with Will Checkley's component from yesterday's final practice session, where basically his wheel sheared off the front right. I've just been presented for it as a memento for my office. Excellent. Will Checkley has a habit of dropping bits off his car and it ends up in my office. So thank you very much. That's another component. Very soon I'll have enough to build my own car. Excellent. So I'm keeping that. I like my little mementos. I know a few people know that I like to collect bits and bobs of racing cars for my office. I've got an entire birelART nose cone section from last year that was discarded by a certain Will Checkley. That's now on the top shelf of my office back in Chester. And there's a few other bits and bobs. If anybody's got any discarded tyres, don't sling them in the bin. Throw them in my car. I can always grow strawberries in the garden with them. So please do. Anyway, we've got Super Elites about to head out for qualifying. And this, as I was been talking about, is my favourite battle thus far in the 2018 birelART UK Series paddock. Picture this. Last year we had 25cc categories in 2 disciplines. We had Super Elites and Super Masters, which was only divided by weight division. This year, they have both been amalgamated. The minimum weight for Super Elites has gone up. The minimum weight for the Super Masters has gone down to the level playing field. That means that the Super Masters have had to be a little bit more intensive with their physical fitness training, which a lot of them have embraced. Some of them are just enjoying the racing because they love it anyway and would rather have that bacon sandwich in the morning, and fair play to you. That's my attitude as well. Whereas the junior drivers and the Super Elites who have come into the category for 2018, they have had it very tough as well because they've had a slightly heavier kart to deal with, and that means that the field is very, very tight. And we've got 3 battles in one because you've got the Super Elite drivers from last year, the likes of Sam Faulkner, Richard Evans, Matthew Pearce, not Amy Jurger this weekend, but she'll be back in time for Fullbeck. You've also got the Super Masters grid runners from last year who were battling for position, the likes of Sam Dimolo, Michael Roots, all of these guys at the front end of the field in that category. Neil Fisher, Mark Lawrence, all of those incredible drivers in there as well. And then you've got the 4 drivers who have stepped up from the junior category last year. The champion, Tyrone Stansfield, the runner-up, Harry Barlow, and race winner in the juniors last year, Tom Massaralla, all of whom have got themselves straight onto the pace straight away. And it's been really interesting to watch. Plus, you've got a few returning drivers to the category and a few new faces who are really putting in a bit of a show. So we've got all sorts of stories that will develop over the course of the season, and I have to say this is one of the most competitive karting championships anywhere, never mind in Great Britain, because we have so many great drivers, all of whom are bidding for the same championship title. 3 of the drivers in this field were champions in the birelART UK Series paddock in 2017, namely Tyrone Stansfield, who's the reigning junior champion, Sam Faulkner, who's the reigning Super Elites champion, and Sam Dimolo, who's the reigning Super Masters champion. There's now only 1 title for these 3 to go for. One of them's got to win it, but there's a good 20 or so drivers right behind them snapping at their heels, hoping they'll be champion. It is just about the best story in the birelART UK Series paddock at the moment. I absolutely love it. Now, Joe Patterson, normally one of the top drivers in this field when he's got some money together, is watching at home, and he's made a bold prediction for pole position. He says, and this is Joe Patterson, not me, he says from home, pole position will either be Harry Barlow or Tyrone Stansfield. Bold claim from Joe Patterson. I don't think Sam Dimolo will like that one very much, and I'm not sure Sam Faulkner will have much pleasantries to say about that one either, but that's going to be a really interesting challenge. Certainly Harry Barlow and Tyrone Stansfield were strong in practice yesterday, Harry Barlow being top of all in the final practice session, but this is going to be close. There's so many drivers in the mix here who could have a really, really good hunting day at the office. And now, of course, this is the first time all weekend that the 2 halves of this grid, Super Elites, basically they run in odds and evens in the practice session to make it a little more clear in terms of track running for free time. This is the first time they will actually run on the same bit of tarmac this weekend together. So it's going to be a busy session. Traffic will come into account. Hopefully they can make their karts as wide as Land Rovers to stop people coming through. But as long as they've got decent track position, we're in for a really great show. And there's all sorts of drivers up and down this grid who can make the difference. For my money, there's 12 people on this grid, possibly 13, who could win the final later. So that is an amazing crop of drivers to talk about. And I'd probably count at least 18 or 19 of them who can be on the final podium. That is how tight it is in this championship. A few of them are missing from the action, and hopefully there's going to be a really interesting battle to talk about. Paul Snape, a regular in the paddock, because of course Tom Snape regularly races in the Super Elites category. Good luck to all the Super Elites ahead of qualifying. This is going to be a really interesting one, possibly the most interesting of the qualifying sessions. Even with the unpredictability of the juniors to take into account, Super Elites 125 is quickly becoming the headline act of the 2018 season, as all the cadets and juniors seem to rush to a vantage point to watch these guys in action. All of them over the age of 16. Some of them even in their 60s racing over the last couple of seasons, and this is where the senior right of karting really is in its element. These drivers racing because they can, they want to prove that they can still hack it with the best of them, and some of the top drivers in the country are in this grid. Not all of them have the budget to go all the way to the top of World Motorsport. I think we're back in action again. I might have accidentally knocked the switch. That's my fault. Do apologise to everybody watching at home on Facebook. It's very difficult when you're juggling 2 packets of peas of wallflower and three microphones. What's a wallflower, Jake? I don't know. I'll tell you later. Anyway, drivers getting themselves ready for the action then in the Super Elites, as they will go for 8 minutes around the circuit. And this is going to be a very interesting battle, to be fair. So all of the drivers are getting themselves ready. Watching from a post-stag do Travelodge bed in Newquay is Tom Butterworth. Good luck to everybody. Oh, that's your excuse, is it? Fair enough. We'll grill you for that one later. Let's have a chat with a couple of the juniors that we've got watching up here. Morgan Cole has come in. Morgan, that's a bit better from your qualifying session. Only 6/10 away, but in this closer field, it's always going to be that tight. How does that set you up going into the races?
Yeah, 14th I think I was. I'm happy with that, to be fair. Just got caught by myself, and it's the quickest I've gone all weekend, so I'm happy.
So basically now it's a question of if you keep that sort of pace going into the races, you can start to get used to the slipstream, start to pick up a few drivers, try and make your way to the top 6.
Yeah, hopefully a few people in front of me, they're new, so hopefully I can try and get at them a bit more, but we'll see what happens in the race. A bit of luck needed, but I think I'll get in the top 10, hopefully.
Yeah, well, hopefully there's a good race day in front of you, Morgan. Good luck.
Cheers.
So we're into the action itself now for the birelART Super Elites 125. And as we battle away for position, we are going to go racing with gusto. I'm looking forward to seeing how this one goes. We'll have some absolutely terrific battle. We'll have some absolutely amazing battles and fights around the circuit. We've got a yellow flag down at turn 1 by the look of it. So somebody has gone off the circuit up at turn 1. There's a yellow flag. Oh, it's a stationary car at the pit lane. That's Jonathan Corrie just making his way out onto the circuit. Now, it's a little bit different in the Super Elites compared to the other championships. It always seems to be. Because not all of the drivers tend to go out on the circuit at exactly the same time. To prove the point, we've got a few of the seniors out on track at the moment, but there's a lot of them who are still sat in the pits waiting to go out. We've got Sean Port, Matthew Pearce, Elliot Stanley's in the pits, so is Ian Williams, and then we've also got the likes of Jim Rainbird and Michael Roots, who are just watching a few of the lap times go to see who hits the front initially. Well, Interestingly enough, it looks as though Joe Patterson's predictions are pretty much spot on the mark, because it's Harry Barlow and Tyrone Stansfield right at the sharp end, and then they come across the line again. Stansfield is now fastest from Richard Evans. Then it's Tom Massaralla in there from Jason Bradbury. My goodness, it's an interesting field here. Barlow is 5th, Dimolo in 6th, then it's Dan Walden from Neil Fisher. Up to the top goes Sam Faulkner. That didn't take long. How has he found a 34.8 this early? Goodness me! Sam Faulkner has found a 34.8 very early on in the session. Dimolo's right in there with him. This is the battle I've wanted to see all winter. Sam Faulkner versus Sam Dimolo in a grudge match. Tom Massaralla's now split them. 0.032 off. Ian Williams is coming out of the pit. So too is Matthew Pearce. So too is Elliot Stanley. Looks like Sean Port's going to make his way out as well. And so too will Jim Rainbird. Michael Root's gearing up. And Will Checkley's come into the pits. Not quite sure what's happened with Will Checkley's car. And he's getting out of the car. He's just been bashing his left front wheel. Oh, he's got a flat tyre. Will Checkley's got a flat. Will Checkley's got a flat tyre in the pits. That is an absolute disaster from his point of view. So Will Checkley in the pits with a puncture. So he's going to need to do some work with the kart now. And that is a really devastating end for the moment to his qualifying session. The tyre flat, so they need to put a new one on. And, well, that's a really, really big problem from his point of view. So watching at home is Carol Jeffs, Good Luck Lily and all the other cadets. They're coming up next, of course, as their race will be the first one of the weekend. So it won't be long before the cadets start to get themselves into position, ready for action. But Will Checkley is sat in the pits with a puncture. That is a disaster. A 2.5 seconds from the pace. Stansfield is currently on top. Sam Faulkner is 2nd. Massaralla 3rd from Evans 4th. Then it's Dimolo, Barlow, Jonathan Corrie up in 7th place on his first flying lap. Where has he been hiding? He's obviously been away doing some bits and pieces with his education and his studies, but now he's back for this weekend. He wanted an extra play, and he's going beautifully well. Dan Walden in 8th place. Mark Lawrence is having a good weekend here in 9th. And then Jason Bradbury in 10th place. From Hitch, Friday, Carl Watt, Neil Fisher, Ogle. And look at that. Stansfield, 34.736. Faulkner, 34.749. My word, it's close up the front. Qualifying in the birelART UK Series never ceases to excite me. Gotta love the racing here. Beautiful racing and fantastic action on the way. And these guys are so good at providing us with a bit of a story. Up to 7th place now comes Ian Williams, going in front of Harry Barlow. Tyrone Stansfield up at the very top, and that's a move from Harry Barlow up to 8th position. Up to 7th place. We've got Stansfield, Faulkner, Dimolo, Massaralla, Evans, and then Matthew Pearce has come back out onto the circuit. So Matthew Pearce has found himself into the top 6. Faulkner goes faster, 34.637. Wow, he's finding some pace from somewhere. Goodness me, that is the fastest lap I think we've seen all weekend. 34.6 now from Sam Faulkner. That is an amazing lap time. And now Matthew Pearce has gone even quicker, 34.62. Where has that come from? Matthew Pearce clearly has been sandbagging. Well, last year they had an amazing battle, Pearce and Faulkner, and this year Pearce wants to stamp his authority on the 2018 Clay Pigeon meeting. Stansfield is still 3rd. Dimolo is 4th from Massaralla, Evans, Barlow, Rainbird now to 8th, Williams, and Michael Roots has now put himself in the top 10. Then it's Bradbury, Corrie, Walden, Lawrence, Hitch, Friday. Tyrone Stansfield has made his way into the pit by the look of it. Yes, indeed. So Tyrone Stansfield may need to make some adjustments, or has he done all there is to do? Really tough stuff here as Matthew Pearce and Sam Faulkner are separated by 17 thousandths of a second in qualifying. There's nothing in it. Stansfield is 2nd. Stansfield is 3rd. Then Dimolo, Massaralla, Evans, Barlow, Rainbird, Williams, Roots, Bradbury, Corrie, Walden, Lawrence, Hitch, Friday, Watt, Neil Fisher, Matt Ogle, Elliot Stanley is next. Then it is in 21st position. Sorry, I'm watching all sorts of things. 21st is Aaron Banks. Then it's David Darling, Jamie Hunnisett, Sean Port, Will Checkley, and Phil Patience. 26 drivers in this field. It is incredibly close. And there is some absolutely terrific action to come from this Super Elites 125cc category. But how close is it at the top? Matthew Pearce on a 34.620. He's looking at pole position. He was so good at this last year. In one lap over qualifying, he was one of the star turns of 2017. He looks like he's doing it again to dial up and go for victory in 2018. He was very, very close to the win last time out at Landau. Had the lead before Faulkner got him in the last corner of the last lap of the last race at Landau. Now, Matthew Pearce is going to have his opportunity to fight back. A lot of drivers coming into the pits have obviously done what they feel they could do from qualifying, but it's Matthew Pearce in front of Sam Faulkner at the moment. A few drivers staying out, trying to find a little bit more from their laps, but Matthew Pearce is pitting. Matthew Pearce is pitting. I think he's done enough. Tyrone Stansfield, third position is the best he can hope for in this one. Well, what an amazing session this is turning out to be. A lot of the drivers will have done their very best, but look at that. On the timing screens, you can see it for yourself. 24 karts separated by a second. And Will Checkley would be within that mix had he not had his puncture. Phil Patience still getting up to speed, but that's practically the entire field separated by 1 second. Absolutely amazing. So I thought it was Matthew Pearce coming into the pits, and it was. It's Jonathan Corrie out on the circuit at the moment in the similar green machine, dicing with Dan Walden. Sam Faulkner has done the best he can do, and it's second place. He has pitted. We've still got the likes of Jason Bradbury out there trying to make improvements. We're in the final minute and 20 seconds or so of the qualifying session, and we may see a few more changes before time is up. Really brilliant stuff at the moment. Pearce, Faulkner, Stansfield, Dimolo, Massarella and Evans in the top 6. All of them covered by less than a quarter of a second. Into the final minute of qualifying for the Super Elites 125 series we go. And there's a few more drivers trying to make the difference up. Michael Roots is still out there pounding around. Dan Walden is out there as well. Still trying to find a position or two. Bradbury's out there. Darling is out there. A few more are trying to finish off their runs. Jamie Hunnisett trying to find another lap. But into the pits has come Roots, Walden, and the man behind Jim Rainbird. Sean Port's still out there doing laps. Jamie Hunnisett's still out there. So Sean Port's trying to complete his lap time. A lot of the drivers will pit in early. They don't want to exacerbate their karts for the long races to come. So brilliant stuff. Really exciting here at Clay Pigeon Raceway. And it looks to me now as though Jason Bradbury is done and dusted. David Darling's going to come across the line. I think there's only 3 of them out there still setting laps. And that is David Darling, Jamie Hunnisett and Sean Port. Everybody else has finished their session. And it's Matthew Pearce that will be on the top of the dais for pole position in qualifying. Matthew Pearce by 0.017 ahead of Sam Faulkner. The battle from Landau resumes, and it's going to be amazing when he gets going. Stansfield third from Dimolo, Massarella, Evans, Barlow, Rainbird, Williams and Roots in the top 10, all under half a second apart. Then it's Bradbury, Jonathan Corrie, Dan Walden, Mark Lawrence, Ben Hitch, George Friday, Carl Watt, Neil Fisher, Matt Ogle and Elliot Stanley in the top 20. And then we have Aaron Banks from David Darling, Jamie Hunnisett, Sean Port, Will Checkley and Phil Patience. Some amazing driving to come then with the 26 karts in this session. It is the biggest grid of our 2018 season, but Matthew Pearce is a whisker faster than Sam Faulkner, exactly the way he likes it. So heading into that first corner first, he will be on the inside line and the first heat of the weekend. And I have to say, the rivalry between those two is going to be one of the main talking points of 2018. But here at Clay Pigeon, it started in earnest with the likes of Stansfield, Dimolo, Massarella, Evans, Barlow and Rainbird giving chase, with Ian Williams and Michael Roots in that top 10 as well. But 24 karts of the 26 covered by 1 second. That is amazing in Super Elites 125. It always is. But now, enough talk of qualifying. Let's focus on racing. The cadets are up in a moment. Well, Nathan Ty is up here. He's really resisting coming and talking to me. He's dancing his way to me. That's absolutely fine, Nathan. You can show off all you like. It's radio. They won't notice. So, Nathan, a very tough first race there, actually. That was really, really close, but what a battle, and nice to start the weekend off in fine style.
I thought I was just a bit lucky there. There's a lot of other chances that other drivers could be in the mix, such as Jamie Gurney and a few others. It was a good battle.
You seemed really worn out from it because it was obviously a very hard battle because you had working within the early stages, then Ella came through. You had a lot of opportunities to lose it, but great way to fight for it and a good victory.
I'm not sure how I was able to hold Ella off.
You're lost for words for once. Normally you're an absolute chatterbox. You don't know what to say. I tell you what, it's a good starting point for the next race, though, isn't it? I mean, this is going to be a tough battle, but do you think you can do it a couple more times?
Well, anything's possible. Ella, Oakley, Kylan, Charlie, anyone could win the race.
Okay. Well done for the first one, mate. Good job. Let's talk to a man who was there in second place because he was the lead rookie last year, found his way to second position in that one after a cracking battle. Oakley, let's be fair, that was a really, really tough battle there, and in third position for a long time you were, and about a second back, so to fight through to second on the last lap, that was a real chances move. How did it work out?
They just got into a big scrap and I caught up, and then Ella got hit, caught behind a back marker, and I just took the place.
There was enough space to make the move quite easily, but it's going to be harder to come up with that kind of move in the second because obviously it's a longer race and that kind of opportunity may not present itself so easily. So how are you going to beat Nathan? Is there a plan to sort of get away and then see what happens? He's not going to be, you said.
I'm not sure.
Well, fighting talk from both of you. Good luck, mate. Brilliant, brilliant first race from the cadets. Great to talk to them. Hopefully we'll get some of the juniors from their previous battle up here very shortly. But focus now switches to the 125s. But everybody was watching that one and had a lot of great things to say about the racing in the juniors. Alex Pinnell watching at home. Well done, Callum. Nice overtake. It really was on the final lap. A beautifully timed move into turn two. It's that kind of move that can really set you up. You almost don't want to be leading going into the final lap. You want to be sat in second place making the move. So Callum Gunning waiting for the prime moment. They say that when there's one driver winning all the races, it can be very boring. Not here. I tell you what, Callum Gunning has made every single race look incredibly difficult, but a great fight back. It's the way you want to see drivers winning races regularly. And a brilliant battle behind them as well in that epic fight for 9th and 10th position. Mike Newbury was watching. Well done, Alicia. Well done, Callum, that was from Mike Newbury, but Mark James was watching for Alicia Parmowski as well. So Callum, awesome stuff from Mike Newbury. Well done to Callum Gunning, but also to Alicia Parmowski from Mark James. Well done. An amazing battle that was, right to the line as they fought for 10th position, just as close as it was for the victory. Anyway, the Super Elites 125cc, first heat of the day and first race of the day. Matthew Pearce and Sam Faulkner on the front row of the grid. This is going to be one heck of a show. Tyrone Stansfield and Sam Dimolo on that second row of the grid. It will be very tight. Tom Massaralla and Richard Evans on the third row of the grid, from Harry Barlow and Jim Rainbird on the fourth row. And that's going to be very close indeed. When you consider there's less than half a second between those 8 drivers, this will be tight. Ian Williams and Michael Roots will be rounding out the top 10 in this one. Both drivers who will want to move forward as much as they possibly can. Michael Roots in particular, a race winner in Supermasters last year, will want to do it again in Super Elites in 2018. Jason Bradbury and the returning Jonathan Corrie. Great to see Jonathan Corrie back in the paddock once again. And he has been missed, it has to be said. So the driver's going very well in the top 12. Then we have Dan Walden, the 13th place man from Mark Lawrence. Mark Lawrence in there, the most experienced driver in the birelART senior grid, about to start over the course of the season his 250th race start in a couple of meetings time. Ben Hitch and George Friday, 15th and 16th on the grid on the 8th row. Carl Watt and Neil Fisher with a lot of work to do from the 9th row. But if anyone's going to fight their way forward with gusto, it's going to be Neil Fisher, isn't it? Then on the 10th row, it is going to be Matt Ogle and Elliot Stanley. And both of those drivers will want to charge their way forward. Aaron Banks on the 11th row of the grid will be there alongside David Darling. And those two will want to make up places if they can. Jamie Hunniset, it will be 23rd on the grid, sharing the 12th row with the number 45 of Sean Port. So the number 24 will be in there, 245 I should say actually. And then we'll have Will Checkley after his puncture that put him out of qualifying, and Phil Patience, who's still getting up to speed. We've got another one of the top juniors actually alongside me there in the midst of the battle from that earlier race, Nicky Taylor. who was charging his way forward and doing a good job in the race. Nicky Taylor, that was always going to be very, very close, but it was so tight when there was a battle of 8 of you all gunning for the same bit of racetrack. What was it like to be in the middle of it?
It was quite like hairy with all the battling and stuff, but I mean, I just saw loads of them were battling up the front, and I was like, right, I'd rather get home and stay in the position that I was and not right off the kart than get involved and end up crashing out. So I was just maintaining the position that I was in, and it worked out well, and I'm happy with where we got.
I'm guessing this is going to be one of those weekends where you're kind of taking baby steps to move up to the final and see if we can get on the podium, because it's going to be a frustrating weekend for all of the junior drivers trying to make that progress. I guess the best you can hope for is to pick off a few places, get a good position for the final and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, we want to pick off a few more places, like 2 or 3 more places in the pre-final, and then when it comes to the final, just go gun-ho and just see how it goes and hopefully get the win if we can. Podium, it would be preferable as well, so just got to see how it goes from now on.
Liking the attitude, Nicky. Keep it up, mate.
Cheers.
So that's the kind of speed we'll get to see, hopefully, from Nicky Taylor as the racing goes on. But now we have the focus on the 125 cc's. Some great racing and great battles. Joe Patterson is watching and, of course, keeping an eye on his man, Tyrone Stansfield. P3 to P1, come on. Unfortunately, Joe, your prediction for qualifying wasn't quite spot on. It certainly started that way, but everybody reckoned without the battle between Matthew Pearce and Sam Faulkner. That will once take centre stage, and it is a great battle. These two know each other inside and out. They know every trick that the other one can pull, and it's going to be great racing as they leave the pits for the first time for racing. Matthew Pearce versus Sam Faulkner, game on. Tyrone Stansfield and Sam Dimolo, our other 2017 champions, are on the second row of the grid, and that's going to be one heck of a show as well. So the drivers leave the pits, and it's 125cc Super Elite race action, our last race before the lunch break as well. So these guys are going to go to battle with some brilliant racing on the horizon, and the fight between Matthew Pearce and Sam Faulkner on that front row of the grid is definitely going to be the hottest ticket in town. We'll see some great racing from them here today. So let's see how it all shapes up. They'll go round again. So many of them leaving the pits and getting up to speed that they're going to need to go round one more time. But this just gives them a little bit more to get the brakes and the tyres up to temperature. They'll need to do a little bit of work with them before the race starts. But this will be a very interesting show. So many talented drivers in this grid, 24 of them separated by about a second in the race battle. So we shall see some terrific racing in the Super Elites 125cc. So let's see how they're going to go. Pearce and Faulkner on the front row, Stansfield and Dimolo on the second, Massaralla and Evans on the third. On the fourth is going to be the 301 of Barlow alongside the 3 of Evans. Then it will be a very close battle behind them with so many great drivers in the mix. A lot of attention on this one, so many people, the cadets and juniors watching on as well. This will be a strong fight. Matthew Pearce on the right inside line. Sam Faulkner in the mix as well, and we are racing. Cracking start. Into the first couple of corners we go then, and is it clean? Yes, it is. Who is leading initially? It is going to be Sam Faulkner who takes the early advantage from Matthew Pearce. Right in there, Stansfield for third, Dimolo fourth as they come up through the S's for the first time. But it's Faulkner leading Pearce. Faulkner, of course, on that inside line makes it very interesting as they squabble away for position further back. Stansfield third, then Dimolo. Evans has made a great start. Massaralla in front of Barlow. The field works its way through those first few corners of the race, and now onto the home straight. Faulkner trying to get away from Pearce, Stansfield and Dimolo. Evans, Massaralla, Barlow. The chasing pack very feisty as there is a good couple of battles further back in the pack. But Faulkner is your leader from Pearce, Stansfield, Dimolo, Evans, Massaralla, Barlow, Williams, Rainbird, Roots, Bradbury and Corrie. I have the inside, Matthew Pearce having to defend, having lost the place initially to Stansfield. Now Dimolo's got through into P3. So Stansfield now having to shake off the attentions of Richard Evans and Tom Massaralla. Harry Barlow's in the mix as well. Absolutely sensational racing, but Matthew Pearce in second place, desperately trying to get after Sam Faulkner, who leads the way. So Faulkner, Pearce, Dimolo, Stansfield, Evans, Massarella, Barlow, Williams, Rainbird, Roots, Bradbury, Ben Hitch now in front of John Corrie. Then it's Dan Walden from Neil Fisher, fighting his way to 15th. Then it's Matt Ogle from Watt, Friday, Lawrence, Port, Stanley, Banks, Honeysett, Darling, Checkley and Patience. But out in front, it is Sam Faulkner having a great battle and a fantastic tussle. Stansfield has got Sam Dimolo in front of him now. So Sam Dimolo through into P3, trying to fight forward. This will be a tough race without any shadow of a doubt. And all the drivers are going to be there as Stansfield makes the move back into third position on Sam Dimolo. Stansfield back into P3. Good work from Tyrone Stansfield as he now gets into third position in front of Sam Dimolo. Faulkner leading, Matthew Pearce in second, trying to stay with him, but Faulkner's building a massive gap. And that's a great move further back as Matt Ogle dices with Carl Watt. Carl Watt gets through. So let's see how things are currently going. Matthew Pearce trying to move his way further forward. Some great racing in the early stages of this race as Elliot Stanley goes to battle with the 230 of Mark Lawrence. Banks is in there as well. Sean Port, Jamie Honeysett, Dave Burns, Will Checkley and Phil Patience. Some great racing here at Clay Pigeon, but out in front, Faulkner has the advantage over Pearce, Stansfield, Dimolo, Evans and Barlow. Massarella down to 7th, in front of Ian Williams, having a great run there in 8th place. Yellow flags, we've got it off. Now that looks to me like that is the 230 that has come off the road there. Now that is Mark Lawrence. So Mark Lawrence has slipped from 19th down to 25. The racing continues, but it's going to be a tougher day at the office for the Scotsman as they continue on. Faulkner on lap 6 from Matthew Pearce, Stansfield, Dimolo. Looks like there's going to be a battle further back as Jason Bradbury tries to make the move on Jim Rainbird, battling away with Michael Roots in there behind Williams. And it looks like we've got Ben Hitch in the mix of that one as well, the 160. So there's a great battle at the front, there's a great battle in the mid-pack. Matthew Pearce could really do with some help from Tyrone Stansfield here, but he's not quite close enough to move him forward. And that's where the difficulty's going to come. Such amazing racing here. And there's always going to be this kind of battles in the birelART UK Series. We'll always get this kind of action from the Super Elites. They are stupendous. Bradbury tries again on Rainbird into the horseshoe. Does not work. So he's got to wait for another chance. But Sam Faulkner, having built that early advantage from Matthew Pearce with a few qualifying laps, is now just hanging on to his advantage out front. Really good stuff from Matthew Pearce in second place, but not enough to keep up with Faulkner. Then it's Stansfield, Dimolo, Evans, Barlow, Massarella and Williams. So Sam Faulkner out in front to the tune of 1.1. Pearce in second from Stansfield and Dimolo. Evans is still right there. Rainbird's going to have to do very hard work to shake off Bradbury. And Ben Hitch is in there as well. This is the battle for 10th position. Is Bradbury going to make his move? No, he's not quite going to be able to. Rainbird continues to hold him off, for the moment at least. But this is going to be incredibly tough stuff. Looks like we've had somebody go off the circuit at the S's and rejoin fairly quickly. But all is going according to plan as things currently stand. John Corrie on the back of the 160 of Ben Hitch. Terrific racing. Now there's an opportunity for George Friday. Is he going to get the move on the inside there of Carl Watts? I think he will get his chance. Really good racing, but Sam Faulkner is in the lead. Faulkner doing well. So this will be a really interesting battle. But Sam Faulkner leads comfortably at the moment. Second is Matthew Pearce, third is Stansfield, fourth is Dimolo. Evans is leading his charge of karts with Barlow and Massarella very close. Ian Williams in the mix too. Then it's Michael Roots from Rainbird and Bradbury having a great scrap over 10th place. On the live stream, we're watching the battle between Evans, Barlow, Massarella and Williams as they jockey for position behind the second place battle. So this is for P5. Evans, Barlow, Massarella and Williams having a good little scrap there for 5th place and not quite able to make the difference on each other as yet. So closely matched, it's very hard to get on the back of somebody and go for the overtake. And of course, a lot of drivers will be trying to look after their tyres a little bit because it's going to be very hot out there and the drivers are going to make the places they will make up based on their tyre life at the end of the race. So there could be quite a few changes towards the end of this one. But out in front, Sam Faulkner is making sure he keeps it in command. Looking good for the victory in the Super Elites. Second place, Matthew Pearce. Third is Tyrone Stansfield. Fourth place is Sam Dimelo. Faulkner leads the way. Second place, no problem at all for Matthew Pearce. Stansfield in third. This is going to be such a tough battle for this weekend here at Clay Pigeon. It looks all done and dusted for Sam Faulkner up front, but this is only the first heat, don't forget. And he knows that by winning this one, he'll be on the outside line and therefore not quite have the same advantage as he had going into this one, being on the inside line for turn one. He'll be on the other side of the grid, so Pearce can get him back in the pre-final, as it were, at the start, and try and build a similar advantage. Sam Faulkner just trying to put good points in the bag. Out in front in the heat, looking for the maximum points finish in the lead of the race. But there's still some good battles further back, and we're going to get to see a lot of them as we go into the final minute of this first race of the day. Sam Faulkner leads, no problems at all there. Matthew Pearce in second place, Stansfield in third. We're watching the leaders come through. But Faulkner with 35 plus 1 lap on the clock is your leader. Then it's Pearce, Stansfield, Dimelo. Then this battle for fifth place. Evans and Barlow have stretched away. Williams seems to have got the move done on Massarella. So that puts him up into P7. Fifth place between Evans and Barlow is definitely going to be the close battle this time. But there should be some cracking racing between these guys as the racing develops. Up to the far side of the circuit. Is Stansfield going to be able to make that ultimate plunge on Pearce to get the move? Time is ticking down to 0. And there's going to be an interesting battle for second place on the last lap. We're out of time, and Sam Faulkner is about to start the last lap. Here we go for second place. Matthew Pearce has got a lot of work to do because Stansfield's got him on the run. Down the main straight. Dimelo's watching, keeping a watching brief in the charts. He might get through to second. Stansfield goes for Pearce. He's not close enough. Now, will Stansfield get another crack at that? That's the main question. Faulkner's got the win sorted, but is Stansfield going to be able to get past Pearce for second? This would be a great little battle if he can get there. Dimelo is sat right behind them, just in case. Stansfield is pushing, but I'm thinking he's going to run out of time. It's going to be Sam Faulkner who gets the win here. Out of the final turn, Sam Faulkner will be victorious. He crosses the line, takes the checkered flag, and that's the win for Sam Faulkner. Great race and a great drive. Pearce in second from Stansfield and Dimelo. Barry Barlow has got past Richard Evans on the last lap, and Barlow's got him for P5. Evans is sixth then, seventh for Williams, eighth for Massarella, Michael Roots and Jim Rainbird in the top 10. From Jason Bradbury and Dan Walden fighting his way back to 12th. Ben Hitch in 13th from Jonathan Corrie. Then it's Carl Watt from Neil Fisher, George Friday, Elliot Stanley, Aaron Banks and Sean Port, with Will Checkley coming back to 21st position. So Will Checkley makes it to 21st in the end. 22nd is Jamie Hunnisett from Matt Ogle. Then it is Mark Lawrence, Dave Burns and Phil Patience. So great racing from the Super Elites then here in the 125 series. Really great racing. Once again, Sam Faulkner is your winner from Matthew Pearce. A 1.3 second gap. He's big in the heat. Second place Pearce. Third Stansfield right behind him. Sam Dimelo just hanging back for fourth place. Harry Barlow in fifth. Richard Evans is sixth from Ian Williams and Tom Massarella. Roots and Rainbird. Then Jason Bradbury, Dan Walden in front of Ben Hitch and Jonathan Corrie. Then, of course, behind them we have Carl Watt, Neil Fisher, George Friday, Elliot Stanley, Aaron Banks and Sean Port rounding out the 20 with Will Checkley, Jamie Hunnisett, Matt Ogle, Mark Lawrence, Dave Banks, David Darling and Phil Patience finishing up the 27-kart grid. An amazing run from the birelART Super Elites 125. And that is all of the heats finished for the weekend. We now go into the pre-finals after our lunch break when the serious race action for big points will begin. So if you're listening via Downforce UK, no problem at all. If you're watching via the birelART UK Series Facebook page, no problem at all, because we will be back just a little bit later on in the afternoon. We're going to have a breather here at Clay Pigeon, so we're having our lunch. We recommend you have yours, and then when we come back, we will be ready for more action-packed racing here at the Clay Pigeon circuit in the gorgeous Dorset countryside, where the cadets, juniors and super elites will fight twice more to see who will take away the big pots on the podium at the end of the racing. See you a little bit later on. Just when you think you've seen the best you're going to see in one day's racing, the juniors come out and show us that. Well, we've got the super elites coming next, the 125 cc's, and they really will put on a show. at the front of the grid. Once again, it is going to be Sam Faulkner. After a great performance in the first race, Matthew Pearce was fastest in qualifying. All he needs to do is basically the reverse of what Sam Faulkner did to him, and he can have a great race controlling the pace out front. That first corner is going to be very intense. Tyrone Stansfield, alongside him on the grid, is going to be Sam Dimolo. Where they started initially and where they finished. A good fight back from Harry Barlow puts him on the third row of the grid after some great battling. And alongside him on the grid will be the best of the rest, if you like. Richard Evans, the number 2, still working very hard indeed there. Runner-up in the Super Elites last year. And he's got a much tougher fight on his hands in 2018. Much the fact the drivers are relishing that fight. A great race from Ian Williams in the last one. When he's not racing, he's obviously filming for Alpha Live, but here today he is putting in a great performance. 7th position, and on that inside line, along with the first, third and fifth drivers, alongside him is going to be Tom Massarella fighting his way forward. And then we have 2 men very, very close in terms of their one-lap pace. Michael Roots starting from P9 on that inside line. Alongside him on the grid is Jim Rainbird. That's going to be one heck of a battle, isn't it, as those drivers continue with gusto. Drivers getting to the business end of the race with the cadets and juniors. They only have one more race to go. So a rundown of the grid. Sam Faulkner and Matthew Pearce on the front from Tyrone Stansfield, and alongside him Sam Dimolo, Harry Barlow and Richard Evans, as we know. Ian Williams and Thomas Massarella on the 4th row, from Michael Roots and Jim Rainbird on the 5th. Jason Bradbury will line up beside the ever-performing Dan Walden. There on the 6th row of the grid, making progress from qualifying and working his way through the field steadily. Ben Hitch has got the returning Jonathan Corrie alongside him. Ben Hitch, the leading rookie. John Corrie doing a fantastic job to fight it out for the supremacy there and in the top half of the grid. Carl Watt and Neil Fisher. Fisher made up 2 places in that one. We'll want to make up a few more, but it's so close in the 2018 season. And obviously with a tough driver alongside him in Carl Watt, that will be tough to achieve initially. Rounding out the top 20, we have George Friday, who provides us with the world's furthest fan base, all the way from down under. They are watching, and they are keeping him very honest, and George very pleased to hear about the support. But yes, we are worldwide birelART UK Series, because even down under they have switched off the Barbie, and they are there in 17th on the grid. Elliot Stanley is alongside George Friday on the starting grid. Then we have Aaron Banks and Sean Port rounding out the top 20. And then we have the final 6, all very closely matched. Will Checkley, Jamie Hunnisit, Matt Ogle, Mark Lawrence, Dave Burns and David Darling. And then 27th position on the starting grid should be Phil Patience after his first race back, replacing his son Solomon in the number 210 kart. Well, 27 of them in this field, all very closely matched. 24 of them in qualifying were separated by under a second. And that's how close it is in this field, with a lot of people taking interest in the seniors, and quite a few of them on the sidelines watching or having to miss this round of the championship. Hopefully we'll see them back in time for Fullbeck in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks after that, of course, we head to Wilton Mill to complete the round of the championship that we started back in March before we got buried under 2 or 3 inches of snow. I hate snow nowadays. Then we sorry, I am a spoil sport. I am a Grinch. I can't help it. Then we have... after the Wilton Mill round, we go to Glanagos Park in Wales, one of the most picturesque circuits in the country. And then, of course, we move on from there to Hooton Park, just on my doorstep up in Chester. Don't worry, we'll give you a plentiful nightlife there on the first weekend of September in Chester. Got plenty of places to hang out. I'll show you them all, folks. Then we have the penultimate round of the championship at Shennington in October, before we conclude the series in November with... that fantastic circuit once again. Wilton, second time this season. Third if you count March. I don't count March. I don't like snow, so I don't count it. Anyway, we're going to have some great racing over the course of the season, and that second round of the championship still underway here at Clay Pigeon. But after last time out at Llandau, the first round of the championship 4 weeks ago, it's going to be very interesting to see who comes out of this one on top of the tree, because we had that amazing battle between Sam Faulkner and Matthew Pearce initially in that first race, but once Faulkner got into the lead, he started to break clear. Has he peaked too soon, or has Matthew Pearce left something in reserve, or is this going to be another Sam Faulkner gravy train out front? We'll have to see and figure out how things go. But Tyrone Stansfield and Sam Dimolo will not want him to disappear out into the distance. Amazing to see 3 2017 champions in the top 4 places of this grid. Sam Faulkner, of course, the Super Elites champion from last year when the 125cc's were separated into two classes. Tyrone Stansfield moving up as the reigning junior champion from last year, and Sam Dimolo, the reigning Super Masters champion, when again that was separate from the Super Elites. Now they're all combined into one championship, with the minimum weight for Super Elites going up, the minimum weight for Super Masters going down, and it's all one grid, the Senior Championship at birelART UK. And it is such an amazing championship now. And the gorgeous summer's day weather you can see if you're watching the stream here on the birelART UK Series Facebook page. Send us a message. Who are you rooting for? Absolutely fantastic stuff. Alex Pinnell just confirming, yep, watching round 2 from Melbourne, Australia. That is as far as this feed is reaching to the other side of the globe. We've got people all around the world watching the birelART UK Series, one of the top championships in Great Britain. And as we know, the British Championships of karting are the best form of karting in the world. Nobody does it quite like the Brits. And if this is one of the top championships in Britain, that means it must be one of the best championships in the world. Simple as that. So with Sam Faulkner and Matthew Pearce on that front row of the grid, Tyrone Stansfield and Sam Dimolo behind him, that top 4 is going to be very close at the first corner. But whoever gets that jump into the first S's is basically going to have the opportunity to dictate the pace throughout. Plus, the race is going to be a little bit longer. We're further into the day, so the heat has been cooking a little bit more the circuit. So the air temperature's higher, the track temperature's higher. We're going to get into the melty tyre overheat time of the day, when delamination is going to be a real watchword. Everybody's going to be very focused on how to look after the tyres through the course of the day. And those who do it better than the others are the ones who are going to finish further up. Really exciting battles guaranteed with the 125cc's. Emma Checkley watching at home for Will. Ed and I are watching. Don't you worry, Will. They're keeping their eyes peeled on what happens. So there's great racing to come as Will Checkley fights his way forward. Made up 4 places in the last one from the grid. Hopefully there's a few more places to make up from the second race of the weekend. But the pre-final giving more points than the heats. So obviously there's a lot more incentive for drivers to start pushing it in this one. Although the race is longer. So keeping an eye on those tyres is still very much a paramount concern. Long pause in between races, but the drivers will now get themselves ready for the action. And actually, while we've got a pause, let's talk to the man who did exactly what he set out to do. 45th on the grid to 3rd position in the pre-final of the juniors. Nikki Taylor, that's not a bad run from you. And to be fair, 3rd position is just about the perfect finish from that one.
Yeah, I mean, we just, on the start, we got through, we pushed through in the first corner, and then I just kind of set out to kind of coax through on 3rd because Harry and Callum had just run away with it at that point, and my kart was just going off because we had a few iffy bits with the settings. But I think for the final, we'll get the settings right, and hopefully we should be in with a good shot of winning, and we're on the inside.
I was just going to say, because you started the earlier heat from 7th and made it to 5th. You started the pre-final from 5th and finished 3rd. All you got to do now is make up 2 more places, and you're going to get the victory in the most important race of the weekend. Yeah,
I mean, it would be good to snatch a win off Harry and Callum, because obviously Callum winning 4 of them, me winning none ever, and yeah, it would be good to just snatch a win off them, but it's all depending on what the kart feels like and if it's ready and good enough for the final.
So how important, now that we're at the very hottest part of the day, with the tyres really starting to cook now, how is this going to be a factor come the final? Because this is all about how you look after your tyres. Did you manage to get on top of it yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, we know around Clay from last year that this track is very tyre heavy, and if you haven't preserved them well enough throughout warm-up and the first 2 races, then you're just going to struggle alone in the final because it is very tyre heavy, and if you don't manage them well, you're just going to be at the back because they will just fall off a cliff.
So you have to race smart as much as race hard here.
Yeah, if you race smart and conserve your tyres, you might not be the quickest, but you'll be in with a good shout of winning because of the tyres will be ready and better than the front 2.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to the last race. Good luck, Nikki, and hopefully it's a really strong race for you.
Thank you.
Exciting stuff, brilliant battles, and it is going to be a fantastic race because the Super 125 Elites are now ready to go. The whistle goes, the green flag flies, let's race. Drivers head out onto the circuit, and the tension is high here for the pre-final as everybody wants to make a good show of it. And as the drivers head out to the circuit, we will have some really exciting battles to talk about. The drivers getting themselves into position once again around the circuit, and it will be tough, it will be tight, it will be tense. That race earlier on from the Super Elite 125s showing a really good threat from Matthew Pearce from pole position, but Sam Faulkner getting away from him in the early stages. This race is all about the start. If Sam Faulkner can break away and get out in front, then it's all over. If Matthew Pearce can get on the inside of him in the early doors and start to chip away at his advantage, then we've got a competition. But this is so hard to predict. We don't really know who is going to have the better draw of it, but it will be so close, and it's going to be an incredibly intense fight, as it always is in the birelART UK Series paddock. But now, after their second rolling lap, the karts will form up. Sam Faulkner on the inside line, Matthew Pearce on the outside line. But Faulkner will hold the inside line for turn 2, but be on the outside line for turn 1. So this is going to be an interesting one. Can he hold it round the outside and maintain his lead? Or is this going to be about Matthew Pearce snatching it from him in the early doors? This is all going to be about their start. And they're going to go round again, we're told. So they are going to go round for a third time. So for some reason, they have elected to throw the start again. And they will now go round for a third rolling lap. So as if the tension wasn't tense enough, they now have to go round for one more rolling lap. But the battle between Sam Faulkner and Matthew Pearce is obviously going to be very tight. Tyrone Stansfield wants to be a little bit closer to it this time, off the line. So it's now all about whether he can get there. And of course, in there with him, we're also going to have a challenge from Sam Dimolo and Harry Barlow. Richard Evans is going to be close up front. Ian Williams, Tom Massarella, Michael Roots and Jim Rainbird. Jason Bradbury, Dan Walden, Ben Hitch, Jonathan Corrie. Lots of talent in this field, and it's still unclear who's going to get the jump. But if Sam Faulkner gets away and clear, it's pretty much, from his point of view, done and dusted. It's all about the start. Can Matthew Pearce put one over on him? They've got to dictate the pace of the race. They will ease up on pace, and now there's going to be an engine revs rise. Pearce has got a good start. I think he's going to get the better start, and he leads. Matthew Pearce takes the lead. So that is exactly what Matthew Pearce wanted to do. He beat Sam Faulkner to turn 1, and now it really is game on. Pearce leads, Faulkner second, Dimolo's up to third, Stansfield in 4th place. And straight away, Faulkner's trying to come back at it. So now, we're going to get to see for the first time this season, Sam Faulkner versus Sam Dimolo. This was what he wanted to do. Sam Dimolo going head-to-head with Sam Faulkner. For the first time, we're going to see it happen. A little bit of a moment further back as Tom Massarella and Michael Roots have gone into the wars, and they are now further back. But Matthew Pearce leads it, Faulkner second, Dimolo third. It's time for Sam Dimolo to bring out his A game. Can he get one over on Faulkner? Faulkner's challenging for Pearce already. Faulkner's right in there. And Sam Dimolo's close as well. Sam Dimolo really wants a piece of this. Faulkner's trying to get past Pearce already. Dimolo trying to wind him up. The 125cc battle is gusto. Faulkner wants to break clear and get away, and there's been an incident further back. That's George Friday going sideways, and Will Checkley's gone there with him. Here comes Sam Faulkner through turn 1. Can he get the lead? He goes for it immediately, and he's there on the inside. Pearce runs wide. Dimolo's up the inside of Faulkner. Has to hang back. Faulkner's compromised. Here comes Sam Dimolo trying again through. Oh, this is an amazing squabble. Sam Dimolo now second behind Faulkner. Can Dimolo challenge after Faulkner? Pearce is down to third. Then it's Stansfield, Barlow, Williams. That's Evans first, then Williams. My apologies. But now it's Sam Faulkner being chased by Sam Dimolo. Come on, Matthew, help me out, says Sam Dimolo over his shoulder. And can they make a move to get through? Pearce is going to get back in a second, and he's there. Dimolo is held up. Stansfield through to third. Stansfield gets on the inside and takes third place. Great run there from Stansfield. A bit of a moment from Barlow. Evans is going to go round the outside to get the place. Evans is up to P5. So after all of that squabble, it's as you were, and Matthew Pearce is trying against all hope at the moment to close up on Sam Faulkner. This is such a great battle as Stansfield now has Sam Dimolo to play with. They're going to work together to move forward. Excellent stuff. Really good racing at the moment here at Clay Pigeon. P5 in front of Harry Barlow. Massarella going to try and come around the outside of Phil Patience to make up a place, but this is awesome stuff. Faulkner, Pierce, Stansfield, Demolo, Barlow, Williams now in front of Dan Walden. Walden's made his way up to 8th. Then it's Bradbury and Elliot Stanley in the top 10. Great comeback. Elliot Stanley now in 10th place. Great racing. So as they continue to battle on down the main straight, the field's starting to spread out a little bit, but not much. So the racing continues on here. That's Michael Roots making a comeback as he tries to come around the outside of Dave Burns into turn 1. Doesn't quite make it there that time. Will Checkley's right behind him. But out in front, Faulkner's not getting away from Matthew Pearce quite as quickly as he was last time. He's had to fight his way back to the lead, of course. Initially getting an opportunity and then just diving for the move on Matthew Pearce and then squeezing him out, leaving him absolutely no room at all. Faulkner in front of Pearce. Second place is Stansfield. Third place is Stansfield behind Matthew Pearce. So it's Faulkner, Pearce, Stansfield, Dimolo, Evans, Barlow. Being out here on the balcony at Clay Pigeon, I can hardly hear myself think with the noise of these beautiful 125cc iArmy engines on the Vega tyres, on the birelART chassis. Great racing and absolutely magnificent battling. This time, Matthew Pearce is definitely closer to Sam Faulkner out in front than he was in the previous race, so he has got a much better chance of it. Stansfield is there in front of Dimolo. Evans is being caught by Harry Barlow. Then it's Williams, Walden, Bradbury and Stanley. Then it is Ben Hitch. Well, it was. Now it's John Corrie. Ben Hitch, Neil Fisher, Carl Watt, Jim Rainbird, Sean Port and Aaron Banks. Tyrone Stansfield still pushing away from Sam Dimolo. Harry Barlow's giving a lot of pressure to Richard Evans in the battle for 5th position. Looks like we've had somebody go off over the chicane and get back on again. George Friday's trying to make up the ground. He lost a bit earlier. He's in there with the likes of Matt Ogle, Mark Lawrence, Jamie Hunnisett and David Darling. So some great racing as they battle away. And in fact, that's Michael Roots in that little mixture as well. So Michael Roots is in the mix, trying to make up a place or two. Pearce sets his personal best, but still there is that gap appearing between himself and Sam Faulkner. Faulkner leading the way. Second is Pearce, third is Stansfield, fourth is Sam Dimolo. Evans 5th from Harry Barlow. Then it is Ian Williams in front of Dan Walden and Jason Bradbury. Oh, and a problem there for Neil Fisher. Neil Fisher, after a nightmare Landau, Neil Fisher has got a mechanical problem. Up towards the pit lane he will go, and Neil Fisher is out of this race. The E-Plate champion from 2016, Neil Fisher, is having an absolute nightmare. Now, Tyrone Stansfield is dropping Sam Dimolo, and he is breathing down Matthew Pearce's neck. So Tyrone Stansfield has had enough of being in 3rd position. He wants to go for 2nd on Matthew Pearce. So Sam Faulkner getting away in the lead. Can Tyrone Stansfield get in a 2nd place past Matthew Pearce? This is going to be interesting. He charges over the line. The 2.99. He's giving it a go. Tyrone Stansfield working hard on the back of Matthew Pearce, getting a lot closer. Then it's Dimolo, Evans, Barlow. Here comes Stansfield again, having a look on Matthew Pearce. Got to look after the tyres. Doesn't want to chuck it in and hope. He's got to build up to it, but Stansfield definitely giving Pearce pressure now for 2nd position. Sam Faulkner is really pulling away here out at the front. He's got that advantage up to speed again. 3.5 minutes left of the race, plus 1 lap. So it's all going great for Sam Faulkner, leading the way. Matthew Pearce in 2nd, Tyrone Stansfield's right with him. 4th place for Dimolo, 5th for Evans, 6th for Barlow. Great to see both of those junior drivers there from last year in the top 6 of the Super Elites in 2018. But still, Matthew Pearce is having to shake off Tyrone Stansfield, and it's a really tough battle as Stansfield continues to push. 5th place for Evans, trying to stay in touch with Sam Dimolo. And there's a great battle further back. That is for 7th place. That's Ian Williams, Dan Walden and Jason Bradbury having a great tussle for position as well. So they continue to scrap away. Tom Massarella trying to make up progress. He's working with Will Checkley on the back of Jamie Hunnisett as they move further forward. This is a good run from Tom Massarella on the back of Jamie Hunnisett. Can he get through and move up into 22nd position? He is working at it. Stansfield going well on the back of Matthew Pearce, but Pearce is still a match for him at the moment. But out of the final turn, all is going well. Massaralla's made the move on Hunniset. Now Will Checkley's going to get the same move done. And Will Checkley's got past Hunniset as well. Great racing in the back of the pack. Great racing in the middle of the pack. Ian Williams leading the charge for 7th place as he now battles with Dan Walden and Jason Bradbury. Here they are at the S's, trying to close up on the top 6. Williams, Walden and Bradbury still battling away there for 7th place. And it sounds like we've had a moment there at the back, have we? Thought there was somebody going over the S's at that point of the circuit, and we got an absolute squabble as Michael Roots and Matt Ogle are having a bit of a squabble. That was really close, and this battle is round the outside. That is going to be an opportunity for Tom Massaralla to break through. He's got past Will Checkley, trying to get on the inside of Matt Ogle, and Michael Roots is in that mix as well. A minute and a half to go. But out in front, it is Sam Faulkner. Tyrone Stansfield really pushing Matthew Pearce as he tries to come up the far side. Matthew Pearce having to defend now from Tyrone Stansfield. Stansfield really giving Pearce a hurry up, and Sam Dimmelow's right there as well. Dimmelow's been looking after the tyres, and now he's getting back on the pace. Great racing everywhere here in the Super Elites 125. Tyrone Stansfield has a chance to go for the 3 of Matthew Pearce. Into that first corner, is he going to make a chance to go for second? Not yet, not yet. Sam Dimmelow's going to try and move on the inside of Tyrone Stansfield. Not quite there yet. Oh, so close at the front. But Sam Faulkner still stretching out a pace as Tom Massaralla and Will Checkley have managed to deal with Matt Ogle and Jamie Hunniset. The blue flags will fly for Phil Patience as Sam Faulkner comes up to lap him. He's not quite close enough really for the blue flags to come into effect, but he's not far away from it. Tyrone Stansfield still trying to chase down Matthew Pearce and get some assistance from Sam Dimmelow. 32 on the clock, plus 1 lap. This is going to be a really tough race. Right to the end, this will go. So the drivers battle on. Is this going to be a race victory for Sam Faulkner? He closes up on Phil Patience to put a lap on him. Surely Sam Faulkner has got the pace controlled well in command now. Matthew Pearce hanging on to second in front of Tyrone Stansfield. Faulkner goes through the traffic. He's going to come across the line. Is there going to be time to go? No, last lap, last lap. So Tyrone Stansfield's getting on with this now on the back of Matthew Pearce. Will he make the dive and the lunge into turn 1? No, doesn't make that for turn 2. So Tyrone Stansfield's still on it as they come off the S's. Matthew Pearce is going to have to defend. Pearce checks over his shoulder to see where Stansfield and Dimmelow are. Could be a great battle between those guys to the flag, and they've got a slower card in front of them. Sam Faulkner's got the victory in his pocket, but now it's up to Stansfield to make a good charge on Matthew Pearce, and Patience is in the way. Patience is holding up. Oh man, Matthew Pearce, and they're going to have to go side by side. Faulkner's going to get the victory. Who's going to get second? It is going to be Pearce just in front of Stansfield. Oh my goodness. Another close run. Stansfield just behind Pearce at the line. Dimmelow 4th from Evans and Barlow, Williams, Walden, Bradbury and Stanley. Great battles all the way to the finish as they come through. 11th place for Jonathan Corrie from Ben Hitch, Carl Watt. Jim Rainbird is 14th ahead of Mark Lawrence. Then it's Aaron Banks and Sean Port, George Friday, Michael Roots and Tom Massaralla in 20th place. 21st for Will Checkley from Darling. And then the rest of the field will come through behind that. Behind David Darling, it is Matt Ogle, Jamie Hunniset, Phil Patience, and then our retirees from the race, Dave Burns and Neil Fisher, who both had mechanical problems, unfortunately. So Neil Fisher will now have to start his race, as will Dave Burns from the back of the grid. For Sam Faulkner, this time 2.1 seconds clear at the finish, ahead of Matthew Pearce and Tyrone Stansfield. So closely matched. I wonder if they'll save their very best to the very end. Wow. Really exciting stuff in the birelART UK Series Super Elites 125s. Toby Baldry is being shoved towards me for an interview by Morgan Cole. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to jinx it, I don't think. Well, let's have a quick word before we go into the cadets. Toby, that was a really good fight back from 9th place to get back up into 4th position. Some good overtakes there, and now you're right back in the hunt for the junior final.
Yeah, it went really well. We've got the 2nd fastest lap so far this weekend, so we should be able to get 2nd in theory. It's only 2 overtakes instead of like, what was it, 5 or something, or 4. So it should be a lot easier and we should come through fighting.
How critical is that start going to be in the final when it's very tight into those first couple of corners?
Well, I find I really want to try and cut across, get off to the right, get a good start, but you can almost run it around the outside going into the chicane, like if someone gives you that chicane. If not, you got to sort of back out. So try and maintain or even gain a place into the start.
A tough race ahead, but a Podium is looking really, really strong here.
Yeah, we're only one place off a Podium after coming through from just inside the top 10. So yeah, Podium should be pretty easy, to be fair, compared to that race.
Good job, Toby. We really wish you all the best.
Thank you.
So that is Toby Baldry from the juniors, having fought his way up from 9th on the grid in the pre-final through to 4th position in the final, in the pre-final, I should say. So now our main focus is going to be on the finals. We've had our heats, we've had our pre-finals. Next up, it is going to be the business end of the meeting and the race that everybody wants to win. The finals, starting with the cadets. Well, a very sad sight as Dylan Brierley drives his cart back to the pits once again, having had a mechanical problem of some kind, and now brings it back to the pits once again. But what an amazing race day it has been here, as the battle continues here in the paddock at Clay Pigeon Raceway. And there's just one race to go, and it's all about stopping that man. Number 1, Sam Faulkner from pole position. A victory in the heat, a victory in the pre-final, in which of both races he kind of checked out in both of them. So now the question is, can he do it again for the 3rd time in a row? A really interesting battle and a really interesting end to the day it's going to be in the Super Elites 125s. So the drivers will continue on in possession. So we've got Sam Dimolo chasing down Sam Faulkner in those 2 positions at the front end of the field. Matthew Pearce is alongside Sam Faulkner on the front row, and Tyrone Stansfield is alongside Sam Dimolo on the 2nd row. Drivers all chatting away there in the dummy grid. We've got a few drivers here up on the balcony to speak to, as we have got a few drivers now to discuss with if the cadets and the juniors are about, if any of them wants to come up and grab a word. But Nathan Ty and Harry Graham are victorious from the earlier 2 finals. So we'll just double check and confirm those results, because obviously that was how the order looked as they came across the line last time. So we will just double check and make sure. You can of course follow all of the races as they happen on Alpha Timing, and Alpha Live have been very brilliant at giving us a great run here this weekend. They've been absolutely brilliant in giving us a really good live feed on the live stream. Everybody really enjoying it from the look of it. So it's been really exciting stuff. Harry Graham, Pippin Callum Gunning and Toby Baldry to the podium. We've had some great races as the day has continued. So let's see how things will conclude then. It's going to be a very interesting battle for this last race of the day, the 125 Elites. But we now kind of want to see how things are going to go for the rest of the meeting. Now I've been given an updated cadet final, and it looks to me as though there has been an amendment to the final cadet result. I've just got the final result in front of me, and it looks to me as though the victory has been handed to Oakley Keatley in front of Ella Stevens in 2nd and Nathan Ty in 3rd position. So there looks like there has been a penalty handed out there of 2 places, I guess, to Nathan Ty. So that drops him to 3rd position. He maintains the lead of the Drivers' Championship, though. Kylan Ingram is 4th from Charlie Humphreys and Jamie Gurney. Aidan Hassan, Craig Evans, the lead rookie from Callum Lockett and Jamie Scott. And then following on, Archie Heron, Lily Jeffs, Josh Turnbull, Hudson Gross, Jay Sharp and Jamie Warner, with Jake Bell electing not to take the start. And now Nathan Ty's penalty has been confirmed. He was given a 2-place penalty for a collision with Ella Stevens. Now, I'm not sure, I didn't see one, but obviously that is a battle that we need to take into account, and obviously I'm not entirely sure where that happened, so we'll have to figure out what's happened there, but that's what I've got in front of me. So Oakley Keatley has been handed the victory in the cadets from Ella Stevens and Nathan Ty. That's what I've got in front of me here. So we will continue to discuss that one a little bit later, but that's the confirmation I've got in front of me. Whether that's going to be discussed again, I don't know, but now what an absolutely brilliant end to the day it's going to be, because we've got the 125s out there. Great to see everybody watching along at home with all the action. Congratulations from Darren Arneson to Harry Graham for winning the race in the Junior 100 final. Top driving. And we're now going to get ourselves ready to go racing for the 125 cc's. One man who should be on the grid who isn't, Joe Patterson. He's very quick to say loving the sunglasses, Mike Faulkner and Brian Dimolo. However, why isn't Joe Patterson on the grid? I think that's where the biggest mockery should actually come from, because that's where he should actually be. But he's not on the starting grid for this one. Hopefully he'll find £2.50 down the back of the sofa and afford the bus fare to come racing once again. We'll find out. But there's some great racing still to come, of course, as we've got plenty of other drivers to root for and cheer on in the Super Elites 125 category. Good luck to Ian Williams and Jason Bradbury from David Whitehouse, who is watching. So another good racing prospect for these guys as they get ready for the action on the dummy grid. But looks like there's an interesting battle to come from these guys. Can anybody get on form with Sam Faulkner? He's won the previous 2 races, just as Callum Gunning did, although in the junior final, Gunning was toppled. Can Faulkner be beaten? If you're Matthew Pearce, the answer is yes. If you're Tyrone Stansfield, the answer is what the hell? Let's give it a go. And it's going to be a very interesting battle to see who does what in this final race of the weekend, the Super Elites 125 finale. Now, a point of clarification that Sam Dimolo was very keen to point out to me after the final last time. I said he went off the road, and what actually happened was he had a mechanical failure. And he was very quick to point out, that's not what I do. I don't crash. I'm not a driver who goes off the circuit. It was a mechanical problem letting me down, not my own inability, Jake. So just remember that next time. I know what I'm doing. So point of clarification. Apologies, Sam. I wasn't insinuating anything in such the situation. I just said what I see. I've seen flying pigs, but I don't always talk about it. Anyway, Sam Dimolo on that second row of the grid alongside Tyrone Stansfield. And tucked in behind Matthew Pearce. A good place to be off the start. If Pearce gets a good getaway, then Dimolo can put himself right in there and should get a really strong race out of it as well. But there's going to be some really interesting battles for the 2018 championship here at Clay Pigeon, the second round of the championship. Keelan Phillips watching at home. Good luck to Dan Walden. He's done an amazing job so far. And Dan Walden has really made up some great progress after a difficult qualifying session. He's worked his way up through the field to well inside the hunt for the top 10. So now Dan Walden has a chance to finish his weekend on a high. And some great battles to be had. Some great racing in this last race of the weekend, the 125 Elites. And all of the cadets, all of the juniors are now either packing up or getting themselves a really good vantage point, because this is going to be one heck of a race. It always is in the Super Elite 125s, but here in particular, this one has got a little bit more flavour to it, because we've got several drivers who are very closely matched and will all want to put in a really good showdown for the last race of the day. So this weekend has been a tough one. It's been very close, but we now have our final winners. We have Oakley Keatley for the cadets provisionally, and then of course we have the provisional winner Harry Graham as well, if everything post-scrutineering is according to plan, which we hope it is. So there's going to be a really interesting battle come the Super 125 Elite Final. Here is the grid in its entirety as we get ourselves ready for action. The drivers getting themselves into the carts at the last possible minute at the front end, with the heat being as high as it is. Sam Faulkner and Matthew Pearce will head out onto the starting grid as they roll around the circuit for the 2 formation laps from the front. Tyrone Stansfield, the man from Ty Green in Braintree, will be there on the second row of the grid alongside Sam Dimolo. And then we have Richard Evans and Harry Barlow on that third row of the grid, from Ian Williams and Dan Walden, fighting his way forward to 8th position in that one. Can he go any further? The answer should be yes from his point of view. Then we have Jason Bradbury and Stanley rounding out the top 10. It should be a really interesting race for those two as they continue to work their way up the field too. Jonathan Corrie and Ben Hitch come next on the 6th row of the grid, with Carl Watt and Jim Rainbird on the 7th row of the grid. The whistle goes and they are leaving the pits. So this is the moment they've all been waiting for. Carl Watt is there alongside Jim Rainbird, as we mentioned, Mark Lawrence and Aaron Banks. We've got a problem. It's Elliot Stanley. Elliot Stanley is struggling to get out of the pits. So there's a major problem for Elliot Stanley as he is not able to get started from the pits. And it looks as though they're having to use the manual starter to get him going again. So Elliot Stanley and Neil Fisher having mechanical problems as they come out of the pits. Neil Fisher goes out on track. Elliot Stanley will do the same. But Elliot Stanley is going to really struggle to get this race underway. Well, 17th is Sean Port from George Friday in 18th. Then it's Thomas Massarello and Will Checkley. Michael Roots in 21st. David Darling in 22nd place. Matt Ogle and Jamie Hunniset. And then towards the back of the grid we'll have Phil Patience, Dave Burns and Neil Fisher. But Elliot Stanley is looking unlikely to take up the start of the race here. I'm not sure Elliot Stanley's going to be able to compete in this one. He hasn't even left the pits yet. And they're really struggling to get the engine fired up. They have got it going. But is it going to be enough? I wonder if there's a bigger problem here. And they're going to go around again, I think, for a third formation lap as they wait for Elliot Stanley to come out onto the circuit. So they will go around again. But Elliot Stanley is really racing against the clock to come out onto the circuit once again. Stuck in the pits, unable to move. Something definitely wrong with the car, and there's 4 mechanics around it. But I think it's going to be game over for Elliot Stanley. He's out of the car. I don't believe it. Wow, that is a nightmare. So it looks to me as though the race is going to be over for Elliot Stanley. Well, they seem to have another part that they're rushing to get onto the kart in time. It is a bit of a race against time at the moment. Even if Elliot Stanley could start the race from the pits, he'll have an interesting fight back. Now they are going to get sent around again, I'm told. This is one of the things I love about this championship. Elliot Stanley's stuck in the pits, but they are going to try and get him out there. So they are going to send them round one more time. But they are going to work very quickly indeed to get Elliot Stanley out there. What you've got to understand about the birelART UK Series paddock, for those watching at home, is that this is a Three Musketeers style paddock. No man gets left behind. It's one for all and all for one, as everybody tries to work everybody out onto the circuit if they can. They're doing as much as they can to get Elliot Stanley out there. Fire the engine up and get him going. Will he get out there in time? Now he should be able to just cut through and join the back of the grid. No, it's game over. It's game over. Oh, what a shame for Elliot Stanley. That is such a sad thing to see from the pits. He's not going to be able to race. Anyway, the racing out on the circuit is going to begin after their 4th rolling lap. So, obviously, the drivers are going to be highly strung. They're going to be highly motivated. But this is going to be it. And we've got so many spectators up here on the balcony and along the pit straight wanting to watch the action. So now we're here ready for the big action to begin. Here we go, and it's a good start for Matthew Pearce. He takes the lead initially. And as they come through for the first couple of corners, is it going to be a clean start? Looks like it to me. Matthew Pearce is in the lead. Sam Font the second, and Dimolo through to third. Stansfield's down to 5th behind Evans. Evans is in P4. So a cracking start from Matthew Pearce. He leads the way. Sam Dimolo now has a great chance. We've got a yellow flag. I think that's Will Checkley who's come off at the horseshoe. So Will Checkley gets back into the race again. And I think Carl Watt's got a problem. So Carl Watt has got a problem with his car. He is going to put it into the pits to retire. But as the racing carries on, it is going to be a really interesting battle up front. Here's a replay. We're going to see what happens in the background, I think. I thought we were going to see what happens in the background, but we didn't quite get to see it. I think we're going to try and have a look and see what happened on that lap. But if we get to it, we will hopefully pick it up. But at the moment, it is in the race. Oh, we got a yellow flag. We got a couple of carts off the road. That's Tom Massarella, who's gone off in there with Jim Rainbird. So Massarella and Rainbird have come together, and they've dropped down the order. Now we're watching a replay of what happened on the first lap. So Rainbird and Massarella have come together. Hopefully we'll see that. That's a little tussle between Checkley and Watt. So damage to Watt's cart. He's out of the race. And Massarella now having spun. So Massarella looks like he's out of the race. A real problem for Tom Massarella. He's going to have to get the cart off the racetrack as Pierce, Faulkner, Evans, Stansfield and Dimolo battle their way through. Yellow flags. But now Richard Evans has got a chance to get after Sam Faulkner. Evans is on the charge for Sam Faulkner and he's going for the place. He's going to put his nose cone in there with Faulkner. So Matthew Pierce has got a chance to make this happen. Pierce is your leader, Faulkner second, Evans third, then it's Stansfield, Dimolo and Barlow. Can Sam Faulkner shake off Richard Evans? This is an absolutely cracking race all of a sudden, and it's all thanks to Richard Evans, who's got his cart properly dialed in. Well, sadly, Tom Massarella joins Carl Watt out of the race, but it's Matthew Pierce who leads from Sam Faulkner, Richard Evans, Tyrone Stansfield, Sam Dimolo and Harry Barlow. Out in front, still great racing from our leaders. There is your man, number 3, Matthew Pierce, out in front of Sam Faulkner and Tyrone Stansfield. Oh, sorry, Tyrone Stansfield fourth now behind Richard Evans. Can they work closer to Sam Faulkner? Sam Faulkner's closing right up on Matthew Pierce. Pierce absolutely determined to hang on to the victory this time if he can possibly help it. Sam Faulkner's close in second place. But what a battle. This is the 1-2-5 Elite, and Stansfield tries to make a move on the inside of Evans to get through in a third position, and it hasn't worked. So he's now having to try another manoeuvre. He's having to try and fight his way back. But this is Sam Faulkner now attacking Matthew Pierce for the lead of the race. Evans, Stansfield, Dimolo, Barlow, Williams and Jason Bradbury in the mix. Then it's Ben Hitch from Jonathan Corrie. That's a good overtake from Neil Fisher on Dave Burns. He gets the move. Here comes Faulkner. Watch out, Matthew Pierce. He's going to go for it. And is he there? Matthew Pierce defending. Sam Faulkner dives back for the inside. Matthew Pierce is not going to let him through. But Faulkner's got him. So Faulkner's got him and takes the lead. And now here comes Evans and there's contact. There's contact between Evans and Pierce. Evans goes for Pierce and off the racetrack they go. Richard Evans and Matthew Pierce are out of the race. Oh, that is a disaster for both of them. Matthew Pierce topples out of his cart and he is not happy at all. Big damage as Matthew Pierce shakes off a hobbling right foot. Well, Matthew Pierce jogs away and it's game over for Matthew Pierce. What a shame. What an absolute shame. Well, all of a sudden, Joe Patterson's question from earlier comes into play. Can Sam Dimolo be the first Masters driver to win this year? Well, he's been released into fourth position. Barlow's got through in a third. So now it's Sam Faulkner, Tyrone Stansfield and Harry Barlow. That's the order at the moment. But Richard Evans has got going again in the number 2. And he now finds himself battling away with Jamie Hunnison and Will Checkley as he continues to fight forward. But Matthew Pierce is out of the race after that incident with Richard Evans. Now I wonder if there is a replay of that, because that was a really interesting battle as they battled for position. But they tumbled their way into each other out of the circuit. I'd quite like to see a replay of that incident if we can. But I know the Alpha Life boys are obviously working very hard down there. Sam Dimolo has managed to get past Harry Barlow. So great racing at the moment, but Dimolo has got himself through in a third place. And are we going to see 3 champions from last year in the top 3 places on the podium? Not if Harry Barlow's got anything to say about it. He's going to try as Ian Williams resists from Jason Bradbury. Now, I want to see that replay. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to. But they are going to try and have a look for it. But this is absolutely terrific racing for third position between Dimolo and Barlow. We thought we were going to see this kind of battle, and we certainly have. So now as the racing continues here, Sam Faulkner leads the way. Stansfield in second. Third is Dimolo from Harry Barlow. Fourth position Williams. Then it is Bradbury, Hitch, Corrie, Walden and Aaron Banks, with a lot of drivers having moved further down the order. But it's a very tough race, this one. A lot of attrition and a lot of great racing. But with Pierce out of the race and Richard Evans down at the back of the field. It looks like it's going to be Sam Faulkner battling away. So some terrific racing and some amazing battles in that one. Neil Fisher makes a move on Sean Port as he goes through. But it's Sam Faulkner from Tyrone Stansfield, Sam Demoleau, Harry Barlow, Williams, Bradbury, Hitch, Corrie, Walden and Banks. Mark Lawrence is the leading Grand Master, by the way, having a great weekend in 11th place. So this is all going very well indeed for him. But Tyrone Stansfield is doing his best to close in on Sam Faulkner, and he's going for it. Tyrone Stansfield is chipping away at Sam Faulkner's lead, and it's a brilliant run at the moment. Well, something is wrong with our live timing at the moment. It doesn't seem to be showing us a bit of a gap at the moment. So Sam Faulkner and Tyrone Stansfield are 1 and 2, and Tyrone Stansfield is catching Sam Faulkner, who I guess must be feeling that this is a very easy victory. But now Tyrone Stansfield has decided, I'm going for it. Let's see if he can get himself a really strong run. So let's see if he can get himself a really strong battle. It is going to go all the way to the dais, this one. But the top three still very closely matched at the moment, and that looks like Richard Evans has made the move on Jim Rainbird as he goes for the place and gets it. Now he's going to take on Matt Ogle. But Sam Faulkner is being caught by Tyrone Stansfield. Third is Sam Demoleau in front of the 3:01 of Harry Barlow. Ian Williams and Jason Bradbury. I'm trying to figure out how much time we've got left. It is 5 minutes and 3/4 with 1 lap on top of that. There's a slight issue with the timing. I do apologise for that, folks. Trying to keep on top of it. My timing screen has now come back in front of me. But the gap between Faulkner and Stansfield is now steady at 9/10 of a second. Demoleau is third, Barlow fourth, from Williams, Bradbury, Hitch, Corrie, Walden and Banks. Several of the big names have gone down in this one, and it looks like Jamie Hunnisett is out of the race. Jamie Hunnisett is out of the race as well. So that's another retirement, unfortunately. But Jamie Hunnisett now finds himself out of the race. Richard Evans is obviously a lap down after his incident. So he now has to try and work his way further forward. Or at least I'm being told he's a lap down. I'm not sure if he actually is. But Richard Evans has come across the line, apparently having only completed 14 laps of the 15. Well, hang on a second. I'm trying to figure out where Richard Evans has gone now, the number 2. Ah, now that is Dave Burns, the 197. Oh, and Richard Evans has retired from the race, in fact. So Richard Evans is out of the race. So he had a battle earlier on. He was making up places, but now Richard Evans is retired from the race. So this is a race of real attrition, as George Friday was there battling away with Aaron Banks to try and break into the top 10. Mark Lawrence is still the leading Grand Master. Third place is still being fought between Sam Demoleau and Harry Barlow, with Ian Williams close in behind. Then it is Jason Bradbury. Then we've got Jonathan Corrie having moved up to 7th place in front of Ben Hitch and Dan Walden. And rounding out the top 10 at the moment is Michael Roots. So it looks to me at the moment as though we're going to have 3 drivers from the 3 championship victories last year coming through to take the victory. Just under 4 minutes plus 1 lap to go. And Sam Faulkner heads Tyrone Stansfield. And it all looks pretty neat and tucked at the moment if you're Sam Faulkner. He's got himself a good run here, and it looks pretty neat and tidy. But Sam Faulkner leads the way from Tyrone Stansfield, with Sam Demoleau, Harry Barlow, Ian Williams and Jason Bradbury all in the mix for 3rd position, with a lot of retirements from this one, because we've lost several big names from the field. We've lost Dave Burns, we've lost Richard Evans, we've lost Jamie Hunnisett, we've lost Matthew Pearce, and we've lost Thomas Massarella. George Friday going for the move there, once again on Dave Burns. Still battling away, oh sorry, Aaron Banks he was battling with, my apologies, as they scrap over 12th place. Sam Faulkner now extends the gap over him and Tyrone Stansfield to just over a second. And with just under 3 minutes to go, plus 1 lap, it looks like it's going to be Sam Faulkner who wins this one from Tyrone Stansfield. So a great battle and a really interesting challenge for the rest of this one to come. But we're going to get some truly spectacular racing over the course of this season. If things continue on, we will keep racing on in fine style as the drivers will all race to the end. Now, this is where things could get interesting, of course, because now the heat in the tyres is going to get particularly poignant. And now we're going to get an interesting battle as up the inside. We've got some great racing there as Tyrone Stansfield closes up a little bit there on the race leader, Sam Faulkner. Stansfield looks back, having completely checked out in front of Sam Dimolo. Barlow is fourth. Fifth place is a great battle between Williams and Bradbury. They're having a great race right now. Jonathan Corey seventh, then it's Walden, Hitch, Roots, Lawrence and Banks. So this is going to be a really interesting championship battle, but that's big points lost for Richard Evans and Matthew Pearce. Second and third in last year's championship, both of them out of the race. And there's still a long way to go in this one from their point of view. 1 minute 35, plus 1 lap roughly. Dimolo's still in front of Barlow. Barlow's still giving him pressure. Fifth position, that is Ian Williams, still getting a lot of attention from Jason Bradbury. Jonathan Corey seventh, then it's Dan Walden. Ben Hitch, the leading rookie, and Michael Roots in front of the leading Grandmaster, which this time out is the Scottish racer Mark Lawrence in 11th place. Well, John Corey's getting a lot of pressure from Dan Walden. Mark Lawrence is trying to close up on Michael Roots. The 12th place battle is still between Aaron Banks and George Friday. And then it's Neil Fisher in 14th, ahead of Sean Port and Jim Rainbird. Matt Ogle 17th from Will Checkley, David Darling, Carl Watt and Phil Patience, with Burns out, Evans out, Hunniset out, Pierce out and Massarella out. Closing stages of this one, Sam Faulkner trying to hang on. Barlow's got to third. Harry Barlow's got into third position in front of Sam Dimolo. So Harry Barlow is now going for the third place on the dais in front of Sam Dimolo. A last-minute lunge there from Barlow to put himself into the shop window for the final step of the podium. This is going to be a great final couple of laps then. And into the pits comes Will Checkley. Will Checkley is out of the race with damage to his car. So, unfortunately, it's game over for Will Checkley once again. Sam Dimolo is absolutely chucking the cart into the S's, trying to keep up with Harry Barlow. He's really struggling for grip, but he's still giving it absolutely everything he's got. So Harry Barlow there in third position. Here comes Sam Faulkner in the last lap, and it's all about Sam Faulkner at the moment. Tyrone Stansfield's done his very best to catch him, and he's kept the gap as close to a second as he possibly can. But Harry Barlow is going to get third position on the podium here. It's going to be a very youthful podium in the Super 125s as Roots goes for the move on Ben Hitch in the last lap. But Sam Faulkner is going to canter to the victory. It's been a great run. Winner in the heat, winner in the pre-final, and now he can take the top step in the final. Out of the final turn, Sam Faulkner gets the hat-trick and gets the clean sweep. Sam Faulkner wins it. Second place for Tyrone Stansfield and third position for Harry Barlow. A great race from Barlow, and he's happy with that. Fourth for Dimolo, fifth for Williams, and sixth for Jason Bradbury. Jonathan Corey comes home in seventh place in front of Dan Walden, Ben Hitch, Michael Roots, and the lead Grandmaster, Mark Lawrence, with Aaron Banks just pipping George Friday to 12th. Neil Fisher in 14th in front of Sean Port and Jim Rainbird. Then it is Matt Ogle, Carl Watt, David Darling, and then we have Phil Patience in 20th place with the retirements, Will Checkley, Dave Burns, Richard Evans, Jamie Hunniset, Matthew Pearce and Tom Massarella. But what an absolutely unbelievable, phenomenal, spectacular race that was, with so much to talk about in 25 laps of Clay Pigeon Raceway. But we now have our winners, Oakley Keatley from the cadets, from the juniors Harry Graham, and from the Super Elite 125s it is Sam Faulkner, 1.7 ahead of Tyrone Stansfield in a brilliant second place. Third place for Harry Barlow, ahead of Sam Dimolo, Ian Williams, Jason Bradbury, John Corey, Dan Walden, Ben Hitch and Michael Roots, with the leading Grandmaster Mark Lawrence. Well, I genuinely didn't think it was going to be as tense as that. We knew it was going to be a great race. We thought it was going to be very exciting, but that was great racing right to the death. Pure motorsport and pure fantastic, phenomenal action. As we always say in the birelART UK Series paddock, we put the sport into motorsport. It really is very tight over the course of the three classes. Everyone has a chance to win. They all have the same equipment, the same chassis, the birelART, the same engines, the IAMI, the same tyres, the Vega, all the same components. It all comes down to the driving talent, and we've seen bags of it here at Clay Pigeon. The second round of the 2018 birelART UK Series Championship has been phenomenal, as we knew it would be. And now we've only got a short wait for the next one, folks, which is good. You don't have to wait too long to watch your heroes in action again, because we will be back on the birelART UK Series Facebook page and on Downforce UK on Spreaker and, of course, Trackside, live once again 2 weeks from now when we go to the Speedfest that is Fullbeck in Grantham in Lincolnshire. It's going to be a really exciting battle 2 weeks from now for the third round of the championship. A massive thank you to everybody at Clay Pigeon Raceway, though. You guys have been absolutely phenomenal. The marshals have been stupendous throughout. You've kept us safe. We've had no major incidents to talk about, which is brilliant news. No injuries, really, and no major upsets. Thank you once again to the marshals. We couldn't race without you, and the Orange Army has been absolutely fantastic throughout. Thank you so much. Clay Pigeon, you've done us proud. 10 months ago, we had a great race meeting. 10 months later, I think this has been even better than that. Really great racing, and we're going to do it again 2 weeks from now for the third round of the birelART UK Series 2018 Championship at Fullbeck in Lincolnshire. Those watching on the stream, you'll be able to stick around for the podium, which we'll do very shortly. For those listening on the Downforce UK Spreaker stream, that is it for the day. But before we get to the podium, a very big thank you to everybody. A great meeting, great performance from everyone. And all that remains is the podiums, which will be on the birelART UK Series Facebook page. A huge thank you to everybody. And from me, Jake Sanson, before the podium, a chance to thank all of the marshals and officials and everybody at Clay Pigeon Raceway. And see you at Fullbeck. Now we move on to the Senior Brigade, the Super Elites final. A really, really close race and really good action all the way through. The first trophy goes to our leading Grandmaster. He's travelled probably further than anybody else to be here. And in a couple of meetings' time, he'll start his 250th race in the birelART UK Series. So considering he could still win, he is absolutely amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Lawrence! What a great job from Mark Lawrence. Well done, buddy. Yes, I've got all sorts of things. I'm juggling microphones. Yeah, get him on the top step of the podium. The Grandmaster should be on the top step of the podium. The leading Grandmaster. Ladies and gentlemen, he's done it again. Mark Lawrence! And now we'll have our top three drivers on the podium. Don't you want a joint photo with the rest of them, Mark? No. Oh, you'll wait over there. Oh, I thought you might. Anyway, let's get our three very worthy drivers on the three steps of the podium then. In third position, in only his second meeting as a Super Elite, the 301, Harry Barlow! A fantastic result. Well done, Harry. Great driving all weekend. In second position, also in only his second meeting as a Super Elite, the 299, Tyrone Stansfield! Those juniors are really starting to worry the over 16s, but you can't quite be beaten yet. Certainly not here at Clay Pigeon. Did it last year, done it again here. Your number one is the number one, Sam Faulkner! Well done, Sam. Another great day at the office, and the hat trick for Sam Faulkner. Heat, pre-final, and final. Great to see the three. Go on, Mark, get in there as well. You need your photograph in there as well. I'll move aside. Great to see these guys in position then. Your leading Grandmaster, Mark Lawrence, and a round of applause, please, for our top three. For Harry Barlow, for Tyrone Stansfield, and your race winner, Sam Faulkner. Nice try, Sam. Nice try. Well, it is going to be tough this year because the field is very competitive, but 3 wins here at Clay when the circuit's so fast. That must be quite a big relief to get that out of the way.
Yeah, after qualifying second, it was a big relief to get 3 wins. It was difficult in the heat with Matt, but luckily in each race managed to build a gap.
So now what you've got to do is continue that on through the course of the season. You won the title last year. Can you do it again this year?
Hopefully, yeah. I think we've got to miss the Wilton round because I've got exams, but apart from that, hopefully, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we'll see you at Fullbeck. Keep it going, Sam. Good job.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Faulkner. Well, sadly, we've run out of time. That concludes our action here at the birelART UK Series for the second round here at Clay Pigeon. Hopefully you'll join us again 2 weeks from now when we move on to the Fullbeck circuit near Grantham in Lincolnshire. We're all looking forward to it. Hopefully another great weekend in the sunshine. For those of you watching at home, thank you very much indeed for tuning in. 2 weeks' time, set the diary. We'll be back at Fullbeck. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, as well. See you in 2 weeks at Fullbeck. Good night.